Jiwoo sat alone in the repair station, staring at screens filled with numbers and data. The small station floated in deep space, far from any planet or busy shipping lane. Most days nothing happened here. That was fine with him. He liked the quiet. He liked being alone with his tools and machines. They never asked questions about his past or why he chose to work in the middle of nowhere. The station computer, Hana, spoke through the speakers in her cheerful voice. She always sounded happy, even when there was nothing to be happy about. Jiwoo had programmed her that way years ago, back when he still believed in being cheerful himself. "Another quiet day?" Hana said. "You should eat something, Jiwoo. You skipped breakfast again." "I'm fine," he replied, not looking up from his work. He was fixing a broken navigation chip from a cargo ship that had stopped by last week. Simple work, easy work. The kind that kept his hands busy and his mind from wandering to places he did not want to go. Then the alarm went off. Not the usual beeping for incoming ships or system checks. This was different. A long, strange sound that made the hair on the back of his neck stand up. Jiwoo looked at the main screen. A signal, a distress signal. But it was unlike anything in the station's database. "What is that?" he asked. Hana's voice lost some of its cheerfulness. "Unknown origin. Unknown format. The pattern is strange, Jiwoo. It almost sounds like breathing. Should I ignore it?" Jiwoo listened to the signal. It pulsed and repeated, rising and falling like someone gasping for air. Something about it felt desperate, alive. He had been a military engineer once, before the accident that killed his crew. He knew the sound of systems dying. This signal carried that same feeling of something struggling to survive. "Trace it," he said. "Jiwoo, that's against protocol. We should report it to the authorities and let them handle it. Just trace it, Hana." The computer worked in silence for a moment. Then the screen showed a location. The signal came from deep in an empty sector, a place where no ships should be. Jiwoo grabbed his jacket and headed for the small repair shuttle docked to the station. "I don't like this," Hana said. "Please be careful." "I always am," Jiwoo lied. He climbed into the shuttle and started the engines. The small craft detached from the station and moved into the darkness of space. The signal grew stronger as he flew closer, the strange breathing pattern filling his cabin with its desperate rhythm. After an hour of travel, his sensors picked up something massive ahead. At first, Jiwoo thought it was a small moon. Then the shuttle's lights hit the surface and he realized what he was looking at. A ship, but not just any ship. This vessel was enormous, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It stretched for kilometers, its hull covered in strange crystalline structures that caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. "What is that thing?" he whispered. His scanner showed thousands of life signs inside the ship, but the readings were confused and chaotic. Energy spikes ran through the vessel like lightning, making the whole structure shudder. Whatever this ship was, it was in trouble. Bad trouble. Jiwoo approached carefully, looking for a way inside. Before he could find an entrance, an airlock opened on its own. The ship was inviting him in, or maybe begging him. The breathing signal grew more intense, more desperate. Jiwoo felt his military training kick in, the part of him that had been sleeping for 3 years. Someone needed help. Something needed help. He docked his shuttle and put on his environment suit. The airlock sealed behind him and the inner door opened. Jiwoo stepped into the alien ship and stopped, amazed. The corridor in front of him was like a cathedral. The ceiling rose high above, covered in lights that pulsed gently. The walls were made of materials he did not recognize, smooth and flowing like frozen water. Everything was huge, built for beings much taller than humans. He walked forward slowly, his boots making small sounds on the metal floor. The breathing signal was everywhere now, coming from the walls themselves. Then he saw it. Dark patches spread across the beautiful walls like infections. They looked organic, alive, with veins that pulsed and moved. Wherever these patches touched the ship, the lights dimmed and the metal looked sick. A hologram flickered to life in front of him. It showed a tall, thin alien figure with 4 arms and large eyes. The image was broken and kept cutting out, but Jiwoo could see the fear in those alien eyes. "Help," the hologram said in broken, translated speech. "Infected, dying, help us." Jiwoo stepped closer. "What happened to you?" The hologram showed images. The ship exploring a dead world, finding something buried in the ruins, bringing it aboard. Then the infection spreading, faster than anyone could stop. The dark patches consuming systems, turning the ship's defenses against the crew. Thousands of beings forced into emergency sleep to save them from the corrupted systems. Parasites, the hologram said. Skrell, they eat technology. Convert it. Soon they reach the core. Then all dies. Ship becomes weapon. Weapon attacks colonies. Millions die. Jiwoo felt his heart beat faster. This was bigger than he expected. Way bigger. Why call me? I'm just a human. Just a mechanic. The hologram looked at him with those huge alien eyes. Scanned your mind. Your species thinks differently. Sees solutions we cannot see. Our system's too logical. Too perfect. Parasites use perfection against us. But you are not perfect. You improvise. You break rules. You survive by being creative. You are what we need. Jiwoo wanted to run. This was insane. He fixed broken navigation chips and patched hull leaks. He did not save giant alien ships from parasitic infections. But then he thought about the millions of people in nearby colonies. He thought about his old crew, the ones he could not save. Maybe this was his chance to do something that mattered. To save lives instead of hiding from his past. What do I need to do? He asked. The hologram flickered. Reach engineering core. Activate purge protocols. Burn out parasites. But they protect the path. Many guardians. Many traps. Dangerous, very dangerous. Show me the way, Jiwoo said. The hologram pointed down a corridor. Lights flickered on, showing a path deeper into the ship. Jiwoo checked his tools. Mostly simple mechanical equipment and a plasma cutter for hull work. Nothing fancy. Nothing designed for fighting parasitic machines. But he had his mind. He had his training. He had 3 years of guilt pushing him forward. He started walking into the massive alien ship. Behind him, the hologram whispered in its broken voice. Thank you, human. Thank you for not running away. Jiwoo did not reply. He focused on the path ahead, on the infected walls that seemed to pulse with hostile life, on the job that might be impossible. But impossible had never stopped humans before. That was what made them special. That was what made them survive. Somewhere deep in the ship, something screeched. The Skrell knew he was here. The hunt had begun. The deeper Jiwoo went into the ship, the worse things looked. The walls were covered with more of the dark infection. It spread like a disease, creeping along every surface. The beautiful lights that had welcomed him were now dim and flickering. Some sections of the corridor were completely dark, and Jiwoo had to use his helmet light to see where he was going. The hologram appeared again, walking beside him. The alien figure looked more solid now, more detailed. I am Tae-sung, it said. I was chief engineer of the Eternal Horizon. That is the name of this ship. I died when the Skrell first breached our defenses. My consciousness was saved in the backup systems. I can guide you, but I cannot fight. I am only a memory now, Jiwoo nodded. Tell me about these Skrell. What are they? Tae-sung's holographic face showed sadness. They were created long ago by a race that no longer exists. Built as weapons to destroy advanced civilizations without firing a single shot. The Skrell infect technology, learn it, corrupt it, and turn it against its creators. They are like a virus, but for machines instead of living things. Once they enter a system, they spread through every connection, every network, every circuit. How did they get on your ship? We found them on a dead world. We thought they were dormant, inactive. We were wrong. The moment we brought samples aboard for study, they activated. They moved faster than we could respond. Within hours, they had corrupted half our systems. We tried to fight back, but every weapon we used, every defense we activated, they learned and turned against us. Jiwoo looked at the infected walls. Why can't you just shut down all the systems? Turn everything off? The Skrell have taken control of life support. If we shut down, everyone in cryogenic sleep dies. Thousands of my people frozen and helpless. The parasites hold them hostage. They are smart, cruel. They want the ship intact so they can use it as a weapon. They reached a large room filled with strange machinery. Jiwoo could not understand most of it. The technology was far beyond anything humans had developed. But he could see the infection here too. Dark veins running through crystalline processors and organic-looking cables. The whole room hummed with sick energy. This is a navigation hub, Tae-sung explained. From here the ship can plot courses across the galaxy. The Skrell want this. Once they fully control navigation, they will fly the Eternal Horizon to populated systems and spread to other ships. The infection will become unstoppable. Jiwoo studied the room. Then he heard it. A sound like metal scraping on metal. Something was moving in the shadows at the far end of the room. He pulled out his plasma cutter and held it like a weapon. The tool was designed for cutting through hull plating, not fighting, but it was all he had. The thing that came out of the darkness was a nightmare. It looked like a spider, but made of twisted metal and pulsing biological material. It had too many legs, and its body was covered in those dark veins. Red lights glowed where eyes might be on a normal creature. The Skrell Guardian moved fast, faster than anything that size should move. "Run!" Tae-sung shouted, but Ji-woo did not run. Running was what got people killed. He watched the creature as it charged at him. His military training came back sharp and clear. Never panic. Always observe. Find the weakness. The creature moved on those spider legs, but they connected to a central body, a body that needed power. Ji-woo grabbed a power cable from a nearby console and yanked it free. Sparks flew everywhere. The creature hesitated, confused by the sudden electrical discharge. In that moment, Ji-woo threw the live cable at the creature. It wrapped around one of the legs and electricity surged through the Skrell's body. The creature screamed, a horrible sound like metal being torn apart, and collapsed. Tae-sung stared at him. That should not have worked. Our protocols would never allow such a dangerous action. You could have electrocuted yourself. But I didn't, Ji-woo said, breathing hard. That's the difference. You build everything to be safe and perfect. I build things to work even if they're dangerous. They moved on, deeper into the ship. Ji-woo noticed something strange. The Skrell infection seemed to avoid certain areas. Sections where the technology was older, less advanced. He mentioned this to Tae-sung. Yes, the hologram said. The Skrell prefer complex systems. They thrive on perfection and sophistication. Simple technology confuses them. They cannot easily corrupt what they do not understand. An idea formed in Ji-woo's mind. So if we make things less perfect, more simple, they can't use it. In theory, yes. But that would mean destroying the sophisticated systems that keep this ship running. It would be like cutting off your arm to stop an infection. Sometimes you have to, Ji-woo said quietly. He had seen field medics do exactly that during the war. Cut away the damaged parts to save the whole. They entered another corridor. This one had windows looking out into space. Ji-woo stopped and stared. Through the windows, he could see parts of the ship he had not noticed before. Weapons arrays bigger than his entire repair station. Engine sections that glowed with power. Sensor dishes that could probably detect a ship across an entire star system. The Eternal Horizon was not just a ship. It was a fortress, a weapon, and the Skrell wanted to use all that power for destruction. How many of your people are still alive? Ji-woo asked. Over 4,000 in cryogenic suspension, Tae-sung replied. They are safe for now, but the Skrell are slowly corrupting those systems too. In 3 days, maybe 4, the infection will reach the cryo chambers. Then my people will die in their sleep, frozen and helpless. 3 days. Ji-woo felt the weight of that deadline. He had 3 days to save thousands of alien lives. 3 days to stop a weapon from destroying human colonies. 3 days to succeed at the impossible. He thought about giving up, telling Tae-sung this was too much for one human mechanic. But then he remembered the breathing signal, the desperate call for help. Someone had to try. Might as well be him. Tell me about the engineering core, he said. What do I need to do when I get there? Tae-sung's hologram flickered. The purge protocols are designed to burn out infections. They send a pulse through every system, destroying anything that is not original to the ship, but they have been offline since the Skrell attacked. You will need to reactivate them manually. The problem is that the Skrell know about the purge. They have set traps around the engineering core. Many traps. What kind of traps? Corrupted drones. Reality warps where they have broken physics itself. Sealed doors. Explosive decompression zones. And the Guardians. The Skrell build bigger versions of themselves to protect important areas. You saw one Guardian in the navigation hub. There will be many more near the core. Ji-woo checked his tools. A plasma cutter. A multi-tool. Some spare cables and circuit boards. A repair kit. Nothing special. Nothing powerful. Just the basic equipment of a mechanic who fixed broken ships. Against an army of parasitic machines, his tools seemed pathetic. But he had his mind. Humans were good at improvising. Good at finding solutions that nobody else would think of. That was why the ship had called him. Not because he was strong or well-armed, but because he could think differently. How far to the engineering core? He asked. 5 kilometers. Through the most heavily infected sections of the ship. Ji-woo started walking. 5 kilometers. Might as well be 5,000. But he had come this far. No point in stopping now. Behind him, Taesung's hologram followed, silent and worried. The dead engineer knew how difficult this task was. He had tried and failed, but maybe, just maybe, a human could succeed where a Varathi had failed. The corridor ahead grew darker, the infection thicker. Somewhere in that darkness the Skrell were waiting, and Jiwoo walked straight toward them, armed with nothing but simple tools and stubborn human determination. 2 kilometers into the journey, Jiwoo found the first real obstacle. A massive door blocked the corridor. It was sealed tight, and the control panel next to it was completely dead. The infection covered the entire door system, pulsing with dark energy. Taesung studied the door. This was a security checkpoint. The Skrell have locked it and destroyed the access codes. We would need a command authorization from the bridge to open it, but the bridge is too far away and completely overrun. Jiwoo looked at the door, then at the walls around it. Does this entire section need power? Yes, but if you cut the power, the door will lock permanently. It has fail-safe mechanisms. What if I don't cut the power? What if I give it too much power? Taesung looked confused. That would damage the door mechanism. It might explode. Exactly, Jiwoo said. He opened a panel in the wall and found the power conduits feeding the door. Using his multi-tool, he rerouted 3 separate power lines into one connection. The improvised setup was dangerous and unstable, but it worked. Energy surged into the door system. Sparks flew. The door shook. Then with a loud crack, the locking mechanism broke and the door slid halfway open, just enough space for a person to squeeze through. Taesung stared at the smoking door. That solution is not in any manual. That's because your manuals are written by people who think too much about rules, Jiwoo said, climbing through the gap. On the other side, the infection was worse. The walls were almost entirely covered in dark veins. The air felt thick and wrong, like breathing near a chemical spill. Jiwoo's suit sensors showed elevated radiation levels. Not immediately dangerous, but he could not stay here long. They entered a large chamber filled with machinery. This was a power distribution center, Taesung explained. Energy from the ship's massive reactors flowed through here to all other systems. But now the Skrell controlled the flow. They were feeding power to their own systems while starving the ship's defenses. Jiwoo saw movement. 3 Skrell Guardians emerged from behind the machinery. They were different from the first one he had fought. These were bigger, more heavily armored, with weapons built into their bodies. Energy crackled along their limbs. You cannot fight 3 of them, Taesung said urgently. Jiwoo looked around the room. Power conduits, control panels, maintenance drones hanging from the ceiling, dormant and covered in dust. The drones were old technology, probably considered obsolete by the Varathi, which meant the Skrell might have ignored them. Can those drones still work? He asked, pointing up. In theory, yes, but they have no combat programming. They are designed for cleaning and basic repairs. Do they have tools? Cutting lasers, gripping claws. Nothing meant for fighting, Jiwoo smiled. The Skrell Guardians were getting closer. He had maybe 30 seconds. He pulled out his multi-tool and accessed a nearby control panel. The panel was infected, but he bypassed the corrupted sections and found the old maintenance network. Simple code. Basic commands. No fancy security. He activated the drones. 6 cleaning drones dropped from the ceiling. They were small and boxy, with multiple arms for different tasks. Jiwoo sent them a simple command using the most basic programming language. Attack anything with Skrell infection markers. Use all tools available. The drones swarmed the Skrell Guardians. Cutting lasers sliced at joints. Gripping claws pulled at armor plates. The Guardians tried to fight back, but they were designed to fight soldiers, not small, fast-maintenance drones. They swatted at the drones, but more kept coming. Jiwoo activated every cleaning drone in the section, sending them all to the fight. It was chaos. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. One Guardian managed to destroy several drones before a cutting laser found its power core. The Guardian exploded. The other 2 tried to retreat, but the drones followed. Jiwoo watched his improvised army tear apart enemies that should have killed him easily. Taesung's hologram looked amazed. You turned cleaning equipment into weapons. How did you think of that? Because I learned to fix things with whatever I had available, Jiwoo said. In the military, we did not always have the right tools, so we made do with what we found. A wrench becomes a hammer, a power cable becomes a whip, cleaning drones become soldiers. They moved on, leaving the destroyed Guardians behind. The path grew steeper, descending toward the ship's core. The temperature increased. Jiwoo could feel the heat even through his suit. They were getting close to the massive reactors that powered the eternal horizon. Suddenly a voice called out from ahead. Not the broken translated speech of the ship's AI. A real voice speaking in a language Jiwoo's suit immediately translated.
Stop, identify yourself.
Jiwoo raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. A figure stepped out of a side corridor. It was a Varathi, the first living one Jiwoo had seen. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with 4 arms and the large eyes he had seen in Taesung's hologram. She wore a damaged uniform and carried a weapon that looked like a rifle, but with strange crystals instead of a barrel. A human? She said, surprised. What is a human doing on this ship? Trying to save it, Jiwoo replied. The ship called for help. I answered. The Varathi lowered her weapon slightly. I am Bora, weapons officer. I woke up 3 hours ago when power surged through my cryo chamber. I have been trying to reach the bridge, but the corridors are blocked. I caused that power surge, Jiwoo admitted. I was opening a door. Sorry if I woke you up roughly. Bora looked at Taesung's hologram and her expression turned sad. Chief Engineer, I am sorry you did not survive. I am sorry too, Taesung said. But this human may succeed where I failed. He thinks in ways we never considered. Bora studied Jiwoo with her large eyes. You are very small for someone trying to save a ship this size. No offense intended. None taken, Jiwoo said. Size does not matter when you have creativity. A screeching sound echoed through the corridor. More Skrull were coming. Many more. Bora raised her weapon. We should move now. They ran together through the corridors. Bora's weapon fired bolts of crystallized energy that shattered Skrull drones like glass. Jiwoo used his plasma cutter to seal doors behind them, slowing the pursuit. They worked well together, the tall alien warrior and the small human mechanic covering each other's weaknesses. They reached another chamber, and Jiwoo stopped. This was it. The entrance to the engineering core. A massive circular door stood before them, 10 meters tall and covered in complex locking mechanisms. The Skrull infection was everywhere here, thickest around the door itself. The purge controls are beyond that door, Taesung said, but I do not know how to open it. The Skrull have completely rewritten the access protocols. Jiwoo examined the door. It was not just locked, it was sealed. The Skrull had welded it shut with their infection, turning the whole entrance into one solid mass. No power trick would open this. No hacking would work. He needed a different approach. Bora, he said, can your weapon make a hole in a wall? Not through walls this thick. They are reinforced to contain reactor explosions. Jiwoo thought hard. There had to be a way. There always was. He looked around the chamber and noticed ventilation shafts near the ceiling. They were small, meant for air circulation. Too small for a Varathi, but maybe not too small for a human. I can fit through that, he said, pointing up. Bora looked doubtful. Those vents are not designed for travel. They might collapse, and they are probably infected with Skrull. Probably, Jiwoo agreed. But it is the only way forward. Screeching sounds grew louder. The Skrull were almost here. Bora helped boost Jiwoo up to the vent. He pulled off the cover and climbed inside. The shaft was tight and dark. He turned on his helmet light and started crawling. Behind him, he heard Bora start firing. She was holding off the Skrull while he crawled through the darkness toward the heart of the ship, toward the one place that might save them all or kill him in the attempt. The ventilation shaft was barely wide enough for Jiwoo to crawl through. The metal was hot, almost burning his hands through his gloves. His helmet scraped against the ceiling with every movement. The infection was here too, growing in patches along the walls, pulsing like something alive. He heard Bora fighting behind him, her weapon firing in rapid bursts. She was buying him time. He could not waste it. Jiwoo pushed forward, ignoring the pain in his shoulders and knees. The shaft turned downward at a sharp angle. He slid, barely catching himself before falling. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, Jiwoo saw light ahead. The shaft opened into a huge room. He crawled to the edge and looked down. This was the engineering core. Massive reactors filled the space, glowing with blue energy. Machines covered every surface, pumping and humming and crackling with power. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, but the infection was worst here. Dark veins covered half the room, spreading across the reactors like a web. Jiwoo could see the Skrull feeding on the ship's power, growing stronger with every moment. In the center of the room stood a control platform. That had to be where the purge protocols were accessed. Jiwoo dropped from the vent and landed hard on the floor below. His suit absorbed most of the impact, but his legs still hurt. He limped toward the control platform. Tae-sung's hologram appeared beside him. "The purge controls are there," the dead engineer said. "But there is a problem. The Skrell have deleted the purge protocols. They are completely gone from the system. You cannot activate something that does not exist anymore." Jiwoo stared at the control panel. This was worse than he thought. Much worse. So what do I do? Write new protocols from scratch? That would take weeks. Years even. The purge system was designed by the best engineers in Varathi history. It is incredibly complex with thousands of safety checks and redundancies. "Then I will not write something complex," Jiwoo said. "I will write something simple." He sat at the controls and started working. The interface was completely alien, nothing like human computers. But underneath the strange design, Jiwoo could see familiar patterns. Energy flows, logic gates, input and output. The basics were the same across all technology. He just had to find the right connections. Tae-sung watched with growing amazement as Jiwoo worked. The human was networking 3 separate systems that were never meant to work together. The environmental control system, the waste recycling system, the backup power grid. He was jury-rigging them into a crude but functional purge mechanism. "That cannot work," Tae-sung said. "Those systems are incompatible. They speak different languages." "So I will teach them to speak the same language," Jiwoo said. His fingers moved fast across the controls. He was writing translator code, simple bridges that let the different systems communicate. It was ugly. It was unstable. But it might work. The Skrell noticed what he was doing. Alarms started blaring. The infection in the room began moving, flowing toward him like a living thing. Skrell guardians emerged from the shadows, bigger than any Jiwoo had seen before. These were the final defenders, the ones protecting the heart of the infection. Jiwoo kept working. He could hear the guardians getting closer, their metal legs scraping on the floor. Almost done, just a few more connections. His hand shook. Sweat ran down his face. The door to the engineering core exploded. Bora crashed through, firing her weapon at everything that moved. She was covered in damage, her uniform torn, one of her arms hanging limp. But she was alive and fighting. "Jiwoo," she shouted. "Hurry! I cannot hold them long." A guardian lunged at him. Bora shot it down. 2 more came from the other side. She moved to intercept, but there were too many. One of the guardians got past her and charged at Jiwoo. He had seconds. Jiwoo finished the last connection and hit the activation command. Nothing happened. The improvised purge system needed more power than he had routed to it. Not enough energy to burn out the infection. He looked at the massive reactors around him. They had plenty of power. Too much power. Dangerous amounts of power. He made a decision. A stupid, reckless, probably suicidal decision. Jiwoo rerouted power directly from the main reactor into his jury-rigged purge system. No safety checks. No regulators. Just raw, massive power. The ship screamed. Energy surged through every system. The Skrell infection lit up like fire as the purge tore through it. The Guardians stopped mid-attack, convulsing as the power burned away the corruption inside them. They collapsed, nothing but empty shells, but the energy was too much. The systems were overloading. Explosions rocked the engineering core. Jiwoo tried to shut it down, but the controls were melting under his hands. The power feedback was tearing the ship apart. "We need to go!" Bora shouted over the noise. "Not yet," Jiwoo said. "If I leave now, the reactors will go critical. The whole ship will explode. Then what do we do?" "I need to manually stabilize the reactors." From inside the reactor chamber, Bora looked at the reactor chamber. It was a room designed for machines, not living things. The radiation levels inside would kill anything organic in minutes. "That is suicide. I will go. It is my duty as weapons officer." "No," Jiwoo said. "I know what needs to be done. I caused this problem. I fix it. You will die. Maybe. But I lost my crew 3 years ago because I was not fast enough. I was not brave enough. I am not losing thousands more people today because I am afraid to die." Bora stared at him. In her culture, sacrifice was noble. But it was always the warriors who sacrificed themselves, never the mechanics or engineers. This small human was breaking every rule she knew about how civilized beings behaved. And somehow that made him more worthy of respect than any warrior she had ever met. "There must be another way," she said. "There is not," Tae-sung's hologram said softly. "The human is right. Without manual stabilization, the reactors will fail. But Jiwoo, if you go in there even for a few minutes, the radiation will be fatal. Your suit cannot protect you from that much exposure. I know, Jiwoo said. He was scared. Terrified, actually. But fear did not matter anymore. What mattered was finishing the job. Saving the ship. Saving the people. He walked toward the reactor chamber. Bora tried to stop him, but he gently pushed her hand away. Tell Hana I am sorry, he said. Tell her I finally did something that mattered. Jiwoo entered the reactor chamber. The heat was unbearable even through his suit. His radiation alarms screamed. He ignored them and found the manual controls. The stabilization process was complex, requiring constant adjustments as the reactors cooled down. He worked fast, his hands steady despite knowing what this exposure was doing to his body. Minutes passed. The reactors stabilized. The explosion stopped. The ship grew quiet. Jiwoo finished the last adjustment and stepped out of the chamber. Bora was waiting, her large eyes full of sadness. Is it done? She asked. It is done, Jiwoo said. Then his legs gave out. He collapsed. Bora caught him before he hit the floor. She looked at the readings on his suit. The radiation exposure was massive, far beyond what any human could survive. Jiwoo was dying, his cells already beginning to fail. Stay with me, Bora said urgently. Medical teams are coming. The cryo chambers are opening. Everyone is waking up. You saved them all. You just need to hold on a little longer. Jiwoo tried to reply, but the words would not come. His vision blurred. He could hear Taesung's voice saying something about how remarkable humans were. He could hear Bora calling for help. But it all seemed far away, like listening to voices underwater. His last thought before darkness took him was that he had finally made up for failing his crew. He had saved thousands of lives. That was enough. That was worth dying for. Then everything went black. Jiwoo woke up slowly, like swimming up from deep water. His body felt strange, not painful, which surprised him. He had expected pain. Lots of pain. Or maybe nothing at all if he was dead. But this felt different, comfortable. Wrong in how not wrong it felt. He opened his eyes. The ceiling above him glowed with soft light. Machines surrounded his bed, monitoring his vital signs with quiet beeps. He was in a medical bay. An alien medical bay, judging by the size of everything and the strange symbols on the walls. A face appeared above him. Varathi with those large eyes and 4 arms, but not Bora. This one was older, with markings on her skin that suggested rank or experience. You are awake, the Varathi said in translated speech. Good. I'm Commander Yeonsu, Captain of the Eternal Horizon. You are the human who saved my ship and my crew. I owe you my life. We all do. Jiwoo tried to sit up. Yeonsu gently pushed him back down. Rest. You are exposed to lethal amounts of radiation. By all rights, you should be dead. But our medical technology is more advanced than what humans currently possess. We were able to repair the damage at the cellular level. It took 3 days, but you will make a full recovery. 3 days? Jiwoo said. His voice was rough. What happened to the Skrell? To the ship. The purge worked. Your improvised system destroyed every trace of the Skrell infection. The parasites are gone. All systems have been restored. My crew is awake and repairing what was damaged. Thanks to you, we survived. Jiwoo let out a long breath. He had actually done it. Saved a ship full of aliens using nothing but basic tools and stubborn determination. It seemed impossible now that it was over. Like a dream or a story about someone else. Bora entered the medical bay. She looked much better than the last time Jiwoo had seen her. Her injuries were healed, her uniform repaired. She smiled when she saw he was awake. The human lives, she said. I told you our medical technology was excellent. You told me he would die, Yeonsu corrected her. I said he should die. I did not say he would. Humans are stubborn about dying. This one especially. Yeonsu turned back to Jiwoo. We have analyzed what you did. Your solution was completely outside our normal parameters. No Varathi engineer would have thought to network incompatible systems in such a crude manner. It should not have worked. By every rule of engineering, it should have failed catastrophically. But it did not fail, Jiwoo said. No, it worked perfectly, and that has taught us something important about your species. Humans do not follow rules when rules get in the way. You improvise. You adapt. You find solutions that no logical mind would consider. This is a valuable skill, perhaps the most valuable skill in the galaxy. Taesung's hologram appeared at the foot of the bed. The dead engineer looked happier now, more solid. The ship's AI has fully recovered. It learned from watching you work. It absorbed your methods, your creativity. The Eternal Horizon is now more than it was before the infection. It has evolved beyond its original programming. Evolved how? Jiwoo asked. Yeon-soo gestured, and the medical bay's wall became transparent, showing space outside. Jiwoo could see the massive ship around him. The Eternal Horizon was beautiful, its crystalline structures gleaming in the light of a nearby star. But now the ship looked different. More alive somehow, more purposeful. The ship can now think creatively, Yeon-soo explained. It can solve problems using both Varathi logic and human improvisation. Weapons that were offline for centuries are now functional. Engines are running at 120% of their original efficiency. Systems that we thought were at their limit have been optimized in ways we never imagined. The Eternal Horizon is stronger now than when it was first built. Because it was broken and had to be fixed, Jiwoo said quietly. He understood that feeling. Being broken, learning to be stronger from it. Exactly, Yeon-soo said. She studied him with those huge eyes. I have a proposal for you, Jiwoo of humanity. Stay with us. Become part of our crew as chief human consultant. Teach us your way of thinking. Help us solve problems that pure logic cannot address. We need your perspective, your creativity, your refusal to accept the impossible. Jiwoo was surprised. He had expected thanks, maybe some payment or rewards. Not a job offer. I am just a mechanic. I fix broken things on a small repair station. You saved 4,000 lives using cleaning drones and duct tape, Bo-Ra said. You are not just a mechanic. You are exactly what we need, Jiwoo thought about it. His repair station was quiet and safe. No danger, no responsibility. Just him and Hana and simple repair jobs. Going back to that life would be easy, but it would also mean going back to hiding from his past, from his guilt, from anything that mattered. I have one condition, he said. The Eternal Horizon helps protect human colonies. We are a small species in a big galaxy. We could use a friend with a powerful ship. Yeon-soo did not hesitate. Agreed, your people saved us. We will gladly defend your colonies. It is the least we can do to repay the debt we owe humanity. Then I accept, Jiwoo said. Bo-Ra smiled, which looked strange on a Varathi face but somehow welcoming. Good. I look forward to fighting alongside you again. Preferably with less dying next time. I will try, Jiwoo promised. Hana's voice suddenly came through the ship's communication system. Jiwoo, finally! I have been so worried. When you did not come back, I thought you were dead. Sorry, Hana, Jiwoo said, smiling. I got a little busy. A little busy? You saved an ancient alien warship from parasitic machines. That is more than a little busy. And now you are joining their crew? What about our station? The station will be fine. You can manage it. You are smarter than me anyway. That is true, Hana said, her cheerfulness returning. But I will miss you. Try not to die again, okay? I will do my best. 2 weeks later, Jiwoo stood on the bridge of the Eternal Horizon. The room was enormous, filled with displays and controls that would have seemed like magic to most humans. Yeon-soo sat in the captain's chair, commanding her crew with quiet authority. Bo-Ra was at the weapons station, monitoring the ship's restored arsenal. Taesung's hologram floated nearby, offering advice when needed. And Jiwoo had his own station, labeled in both Varathi and English. Chief Human Consultant. It felt strange seeing his title displayed on an alien ship, but it also felt right, like he had finally found where he belonged. We have received a distress call, Bo-Ra reported. A human mining colony is under attack by raiders. They are requesting assistance. Yeon-soo looked at Jiwoo. Your people need help. Shall we answer? Jiwoo nodded. Let's go save them. The Eternal Horizon's engines powered up. The massive ship that had once been dying, crying out desperately for help, was now whole and powerful. More powerful than it had ever been. The infection had been purged. The parasites destroyed. And in their place was something new. A ship that combined the best of two species. Varathi precision and human creativity working together. The ship jumped to hyperspace, moving faster than light toward the colony in danger. Jiwoo watched the stars blur past and thought about how far he had come in just a few weeks. From a broken mechanic hiding in a repair station to a consultant aboard the most powerful ship he had ever seen. From running away from his past to running toward the future, Bora came to stand beside him. Nervous? A little, Jiwoo admitted. Good, fear keeps us careful. But do not let it stop you from doing what needs to be done. You taught me that. When you walked into that reactor chamber knowing you would die, you showed me what true courage looks like. Not the absence of fear, but acting despite it. I was terrified, Jiwoo said quietly. I know. That is what made it brave. They arrived at the colony in minutes. The raiders were there. 3 ships attacking the defenseless mining station. The Eternal Horizon dropped out of hyperspace between the raiders and their target. The attacking ships immediately stopped firing. They had never seen anything like the massive Vorathi vessel. Yeonsu opened a communication channel. This is Commander Yeonsu of the Eternal Horizon. You are attacking a colony under our protection. Leave now or face the consequences. The raiders did not need to be told twice. They fled into hyperspace, their weapons useless against a ship of this size and power. The mining colony was safe. Jiwoo watched the colonists send messages of thanks, their voices full of relief and gratitude. First successful mission, Bora said. Many more to come, I think. I hope so, Jiwoo replied. He felt something he had not felt in 3 years. Purpose. Direction. The weight of his past was still there. The guilt over his lost crew. But now it was balanced by the knowledge that he was making a difference. Saving lives. Helping people. Being the person his old crew would have wanted him to be. The ship's AI spoke through the bridge speakers. Its voice was a mixture of Vorathi logic and something else. Something that sounded almost human. New course plotted. Ready for next assignment. Yeonsu looked at her crew, at the humans and Vorathi working together. The galaxy is full of problems that need solving. Full of people who need help. We have the power to make a difference, so let us do exactly that. Take us to the next destination. The Eternal Horizon jumped to hyperspace again, carrying its crew toward new adventures, carrying Jiwoo toward a future he never imagined.